Hey, I'm Joey DeAngelis here with the first installment of the Akira Kurosawa vlog series, where I look at all 30 of Akira Kurosawa's films. Today, I'm going to be talking about his first film, available in the First Films of Akira Kurosawa Eclipse box set, and the now out-of-print AK-100 box set, Sanshiro Sugata from 1943. This was, like I said, Akira Kurosawa's first film. Came out 70 years ago. So this year we're celebrating the 70th anniversary of Akira Kurosawa's directorial debut. So that's really interesting. I wasn't even expecting that. I just realized that yesterday. This is the DVD I have for it. It's a, pretty basic DVD, but print looks decent enough for a film from Japan that's like 70 years old. So that's pretty good. Anyhow, the film I'm talking about today is interesting because we're talking about the first film of one of the most famous filmmakers of all time. It's very interesting to watch the first film of a director because from that first film you kind of get a certain inkling of their style, certain techniques they are favorable towards, and ideas like that. Kurosawa likes to speed things up with the camera, slow things down, make interesting cuts, tell the mood by the weather, etc. The story of this film goes like this. We have Sanshiro Sugata, a really cool, a likable enough main character, who wants to learn jujitsu, but is so impressed with judo that he becomes a student of judo, or that's how I think it comes down to. I'm not a martial arts expert, so if I'm mixing them up or totally botching them, please let me know. So he wants to learn this really cool style, but a few years later, as told by a really nice passage of time where he leaves his shoes behind, and you really see the shoes go through like the changing of the seasons. You see that he's strong, but he's not a great fighter. It makes me think of Musashi Miyamoto in the Samurai trilogy, where he's criticized for being too strong because, well, you won't be strong forever. So what's the point of it if you're not going to be good at what you're doing? So I like that angle about it, and he's, becomes a more dedicated student and ultimately becomes an amazing fighter, and to the point where people want to fight him. I think that really my favorite element of the film are just certain elements that Kurosawa uses to tell the story and to, show the action. One of my favorite scenes in the whole film is where Sanshiro is fighting his old master, or it was supposed to be his master, but he got his ass kicked by the guy he was being trained by now, and he defeats him. And there's a slow motion thing where one of the panels falls on the guy, and oh my god, it's a beautifully executed sequence. Really one of my favorite scenes of the whole film. You really get the sense of Kurosawa being an action filmmaker, not in the sense of just being like Michael Bay, but he was able to direct action very well, but also make us care about what was happening on screen. We also have an appearance by Takashi Shimura, who's a character that is grown older. He's been drinking, but he wants to fight Sanshiro, and I really liked his character. And Takashi Shimura's usually amazing, so it's really nice to see him collaborate with Kurosawa so early on in Kurosawa's career. When I look at this film, it's the first of the 30 films I'll be looking at, and I think it's a really nice start. It's a good film. There's some certain things I didn't like. Certain characters I kind of got confused by, but maybe that's just because like the print was bad, and not the print wasn't terrible, but it's not the greatest print, so sometimes it got mixed up with certain things, but that happens. Another thing that's interesting to note about this film is that I believe there was 17 minutes of footage cut from the film, and that footage is lost, so whatever footage was supposed to be there is replaced by title cards, or like Japanese, characters. Makes me think of the Metropolis restoration, the complete Metropolis, where any of the missing scenes were just replaced by a title card. That doesn't bother me too much, but it would have been nice to see those scenes, be played out on the screen. Anyhow, the film was only 80 minutes, so it's really nice. You just pop it on. It's a nice little 80-minute action film, and I recommend it. It's a nice start for Kurosawa. You really see the beginnings of a truly great filmmaker. in my opinion. So, yeah, next time I shall be talking about The Most Beautiful. See you guys next time on the Kurosawa Vlogs.